Today we're going to talk about 3 barriers keeping you stuck in anxiety. Are there obstacles keeping you trapped in a cycle of anxiety that you've never really considered before? Of course there are. We all self-sabotage, even when we're motivated to change. I'm Angela Howard, and I am passionate about breaking the stigma of mental illness among fellow Christians. I'm here to help you live a more purposeful life in your relationship with God and with one another. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of the upcoming new content. When my son Benjamin was about 13 years old, we sent him outside to go pick up after the dog. A few minutes later, I had, just looked out the window and noticed that he was hopping on one foot and wearing only one shoe while trying to accomplish this task. It was hysterical. I couldn't even believe it. He thought that, it was going to be too much trouble to find that other shoe, and he might as well just run out there and try to do this all while hopping on one foot. It was absolutely hysterical. It's so much easier to notice the barriers and the obstacles in someone else's life, like I did with Ben, than it is to notice those very same barriers in our own lives. So let's look at those 3 barriers that are keeping us stuck in anxiety. The first barrier is the fear that change is impossible. Maybe you've tried and failed so many times that you are just kind of hanging on to that false belief that change is impossible for someone like you. Let me just reassure you that God created us to be able to change, to be able to transform. He created our brains to be able to make just connections and reorganizations throughout our lifetime. And that is actually called neuroplasticity. I'm going to put some links in the notes below so that you can find out a little bit more about how that plays out in our everyday lives. But if you're hanging on to that belief, don't believe it for another second, because you can change. Number 2 is forming your identity around anxiety. This can be as simple as the very language that you use. Do you say something like, my struggle with anxiety, or do you say, my anxiety? Our identities should never be held in something temporary, like different roles that we have in our lives, or jobs that we have, or even struggles that we go through. That is not where our identity needs to be placed, but our true identities can be found as children of God. That is something that is fixed and never changing. Number 3 is solely focusing on the symptoms. It's natural to want to zero in on the symptoms because they can be so debilitating. But anxiety symptoms are just an indication of the problem and not the root cause of what you're struggling with. And so just dealing with the symptoms can really lead you into a cycle where you face the symptom, you deal with the symptom, and then you are right back at it again. And so that can leave you feeling really defeated. And so getting to the core of the anxiety is much more effective in long-term treatment and can give you a sense of success. And please know that anything that I've said today is never meant to sound like, just try harder to have less anxiety. That is not it at all. Anxiety is a complex issue that needs to be dealt with, coming from a lot of different angles. And so this is just one reminder today, is to look at it from the issue of maybe some barriers that you're facing. Let's remember what Galatians 3:26 says. So in Christ Jesus, you are all children of God through faith. Whatever it is that you're going through, that is the bottom line. So what barriers are keeping you stuck? I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and we can connect. Please subscribe for more videos. I'll be sharing some great tips and encouragement, whether you yourself are struggling with a mental illness or have a loved one who does. I'll see you next time.